Hey guys, this is Raymond. I'm here in Barangay Holy Spirit, Barangay Auditorium, and I'm about, if you can see the stuff behind me, I'm about to join my first formal HEMA event. I've gone to some workshops before, but this is the first HEMA event I've ever done.
Guys, I just finished the single stick event. I got a bronze medal. I think I'm not 100% sure. Honestly, I don't care. It's more of the learning experience, just to know how it feels to fight in this kind of format. It's very interesting stuff. A lot of it has to do with how the range is controlled, how your footwork works. You know, they're really isolating some skills when it comes to the single stick event that they made earlier. So now we're going to go into military saber. This might be the last event I'm going to go because, yeah, you know, life gets in the way. So yeah, I'm going to do military saber and let's see how well I do there. My age and my lack of conditioning is really starting to catch up to me because my arm feels like noodles right now. So we'll see. We'll see how well I do.
Hey guys, okay, so this is just me coming home after the um, Pinoy slash Saber slash event. There, how am I blanking out on that? And this is like my hot take about the whole thing. Uh, I only stayed for about two events, which is the single stick event and the military saber event. I'm just gonna talk about my experience right now and um, you know what I learned from the whole thing. Number one is I am out of shape. Ah, fudge. How do I like? Okay, I'm obviously out of shape, right? Um, but it's great to go to these events just to realize how out of shape you are, and it's a great reality check. For those of you who may or who are curious, I think I'm about 5'7", 5'6", depending on the day, and and I'm about no no about the last I checked I was about 280 pounds, but I think I'm less than that now. But I'm thereabouts. I'm about 250 at least, I think. Um, so right, way out of shape. I mean, I'm not a muscular 250, right? So when I was there at the event, like even now, I'm feeling the effects of it. Um, Not only am I tired, I am bordering on exhausted. So the moment I arrived home, I just sat down here in my office, played a video game for a bit because that's all I have the energy for. Like I don't even have the energy to make a video. Like my thoughts were so scattered. Like even now, my thoughts aren't that clear about it. And I all blame that on being fit or not having enough fitness. So yeah, that's a great thing about competitions. They're very realistic in the sense that it gives you an idea of where you are in life, like where you are fitness wise. Skill wise, I'm kind of okay. Like the first few fights or the first few rounds that I fought, where what do you call this? Where I was doing okay. Uh, yeah, the first few rounds I fought, where I was still fresh, I did okay. I think. Like I won a couple of the fights. Winning is not a big deal here, right? This is a meet event. Everyone was just there to learn. I believe. Like not a lot of us had experience with European style saber fighting. But Filipino martial art translates so well to that kind of format. With a couple of adaptations, we'll do well. So technique wise, I'm kind of okay. There are certain parts where I need to improve. Like if I want to do this whole HEMA thing, if I want to be a little bit competitive here, I need to have greater forearm strength, greater forearm flexibility. I notice a lot of it involves positioning the sword correctly before extending it out. Like I'll probably have a more detailed thing about that later on. But I'm by no means an expert in the field. Like it works out okay, is what I'm saying. But you know, combine that with a fitness issue, and definitely, that's an issue. Like after I think my fourth round, I was really feeling the exhaustion coming in. I think the last match that I played was actually my first and only match in military. The last game that I played was my last and only match for military Saber, and and I was so tired. I was seeing white, basically. So anybody out there who knows anything about physical activity, the moment you see white, like the corners of your eyes see white, and all you can see is that middle bit. Yeah, that's no bueno, right? And it's even worse now that I'm 39 years old. At 39 and out of shape, I really felt like I couldn't push through anymore. When I was younger, you can kind of push through a little bit, like you take a little breather. And I actually did something today that I normally would not do, which is ask for a timeout because I was so tired. Like even when I was like because of my heavy build, I've never been the most in the guy with the most endurance, right? I always gassed out because if you're pushing a 200-pound body to keep up with someone who's lighter than you, sure you're gonna hit harder. Like if you hit the other person, they are going to feel it. But if the guy knows what he's doing, then he's going to make it a contest of speed, and you gas out. That's just the thing. Being a big guy, you gas out, and that's something that I had to address before because there's no way I'm gonna get tiny. Like the smallest I've been since university, the smallest I've been is about 180 pounds, I think. And 180 pounds, it's yeah, I moved much better at that point, I think. Um, so with that in mind, I'm going to probably take my physical training a little bit more seriously. My wife and I have hired a trainer to help us out, and I've been seeing good things with it. So that's the thing, and probably just have better health choices, to be honest. Other observations that I had. Hold on. I should have started with this in the first place. what? Yeah, I have a tripod. Why didn't I use it? Well, anyway, where was I? Right. So yeah, just getting fit. That's definitely going to be one of my major goals now. And getting fit on my own, it might have been possible way back when I was in my 20s, but now, I'm going to need a professional to help me. So my wife and I have talked about that, and we are going to hire a personal trainer. The fantastic thing about nowadays is that online training is a thing now. A lot of fitness professionals are involved in that kind of thing, and it's great. I think. Some people don't like it. They personally prefer working out in a gym, and I understand that. There is something about being in a gym in that environment. But if you're like me and my wife, we're newlyweds. We just had a new baby, right? Online training is a very viable solution for you. So that's the first one. Another thing about being tired that's not connected with health is mask wearing. Okay, so one of the things that I noticed is that nowadays, one of the things about the game is that we were wearing masks, basically. Now, it wasn't all that strict because I think everyone who was at that event was already vaccinated, and no one has had any um, contact with positive um, people who are COVID positive, so the chances of getting COVID is pretty low. But and I don't want to take my chances with it, so I wore a mask all throughout the competition. So anyone who's ever fought in a helmet, like a fencing helmet or FMA or earnest helmet, that thing constricts your breathing. Like it's not very fun for your breathing, right? If you add the mask, even worse. Now, one of the things I realized is if I'm going to keep competing, one of the things I have to do is probably bring a bunch of masks. Because during my first round, it was fine. Like I was breathing well. I had that little plastic thing that you put so that the surgical mask isn't flush against your skin. You're breathing through a narrow part of the mask. And this one keeps it like half an inch away from your nose and your face, so you have all that surface area to breathe through. It really helped, I think. Um, but during the competition, you're gonna get sweaty. The thing is gonna get jostled around, and I think one of the things I did to keep the surgical mask on my face is, so you have that plastic thing, you have that plastic frame. I put the surgical mask on top of it, and to keep the surgical mask in place, I put like a cloth tube on top. Like some of you guys might know what it is. It's what is that? It's a hiking tube. I think you use it to cover your head. I don't have one of those here. Oh, I think I have one. Hold on. Why am I wearing this? I think I was wearing the thing. Um, I just realized I was wearing the thing when I did some of my videos. So you guys know what I look like. So anyway, the realization that I have is anyone who wants to compete this way, who wants to compete in this level of physical activity, you might want to bring like 10, 12 masks. It depends on how much you sweat and how much it gets rumpled. It's up to you. I mean, I would suggest like wearing a different mask every round that you play or every match that you play, because it just sucks. Because there was a moment there where I was like having a hard time breathing and I had to take off my helmet. The moment I put down the mask and tried to breathe on my own without the masks, I was just breathing much more smoothly, and I literally felt the oxygen enter my lungs and like, oh, okay, now I feel better. So yeah, definitely masks are a thing. If you're gonna if you want to stay safe, if you're afraid of COVID or whatever, you just have to learn to deal with it. And one of the ways to minimize the hassle of wearing a mask is to have a lot of them. So you're always switching out masks. I think nowadays each mask is like a 3 or 4 pesos. Or it can go up to 6 pesos, the really good ones. So you just have to live with it. It's like, yeah, you're going to spend 6 pesos per match. I mean, especially for a guy like me who needs to breathe a lot, that will become a necessity. So you have to play around with it on your own. Those are some of the cool things. Another thing that I've noticed, and I think we in the FMA community should adopt, is we should be more responsible for our own equipment. Because there is this culture in Filipino martial arts where players don't own their own equipment. We are used to having our organizers own the equipment and lend out the equipment as they deem fit. Um, there are pros and cons for the whole thing. There are some organizers who want players to use only the equipment they provide. Um, it's a liability thing. It's a safety thing sometimes because they want equipment that meet the characteristics that they want, right? It shouldn't just look right; it should work right, right? That's the main thing. So yeah, nothing works better than equipment that you've adapted for yourself or that was made for you, right? I had the experience years ago with my club. Um, The school, I wasn't consulted with it. The school bought the equipment on their own. And what they did was they bought the biggest size helmet. The rationale is the biggest size helmet will fit the biggest child all the way to the smallest child, and the smallest child just has to adapt. Okay, makes sense. It means every kid would be able to wear a helmet. Downside of that is, you would have players who have tiny heads rattling around inside that giant helmet, while the big people like me or the other big people were perfectly fine because the helmet was like measured for our size. We barely feel it. Like, well, not barely feel it, but you know what I mean. We can move better. We can breathe better. It all around is less of a hassle. While kids in the lower divisions, they put padding all over their heads just to make it fit better. So one solution for that is just own your own helmet, right? And you know, I think that will improve the safety of FMA of the sport. Because if something fits you well, it will protect you better. Again, if the thing is missized, like I've worn a helmet that was too small for me, and and the flap at the back of the head that's supposed to cover the back of your head, it just didn't close up with the panel on the side. So I actually had like 2-inch gaps on the side on either side of my head, um, where if I got hit there with a padded stick, it was like straight to my skull. Like there was not even a piece of fabric protecting my head at that point. So it's not fun, right? And again, some of the players who are rattling around in their helmets, if the helmet gets hit, the helmet actually hits them from the inside because it's so loose. So it's not that safe either. So again, the piece of equipment fitting the player perfectly is the best way to go, and the only way you can do that, or the best way I think for you to do that, is for each player to at least have their own helmet, right? And this is what I loved about this event. Everyone had their own helmet, pretty much. Some people shared. Like I had to borrow a helmet because of the flooding back in 2020. We had to rearrange the house. Like organizing this was not the priority, right? Just getting things dry was the priority. So I think my helmet is somewhere here. It's either in the storeroom in the back or somewhere here on the side in my workshop somewhere. But end of the day, I just couldn't find the helmet, right? But anyway, so I had to borrow someone. Shout out to Elric for lending me his helmet. It's fantastic. The guy has extra equipment. Um, but some people would share the same helmet within the club. That's a little bit better, but that's not the best. I think again, having your own equipment makes a world of difference, and that goes to everything. Like I was seeing some really cool HEMA jackets that they were wearing, which were leaps and bounds. I think better than what we're using. Like for example, in WECAF with the WECAF and PECAF in the live stick competition, those really heavy ones. Because when you think about it, the heavy jackets that we're wearing, and I think I have a video. Yeah, I do have a video where I reviewed that jacket. But the pertinent thing here is those things were designed to be club jackets. These were vests that the whole club can use and reuse. So the level of durability of those things is pretty high, but the comfort level, it was not definitely that thing was not designed and built for comfort. And anyone will tell you if you're not comfortable, fighting gets a little bit harder, right? One of the things I've noticed again with the WECAF equipment is since it fits people so poorly, I've seen people when they raise their arm, um, the whole jacket just goes up, which means that arm is carrying the jacket at that moment. The moment they do this and they strike, their arm is carrying the whole weight of the jacket. That thing will tire you out really, really fast. Okay, that's why it really changes the way you play, the way you fight. So getting better fitting jackets, a jacket that is adapted for you and your size, you know, leaps and bounds safer than anything out there than wearing a club jacket. No, will the club jackets disappear? No, I don't think so. Like we always need loaner gear to lend to the new players who still haven't thought about investing money into buying their own equipment. So there. So I think in the FMA organizations in the tournament scene, I think organizers should be a little bit more lenient when it comes to letting people use their own equipment. They should be a little bit more open to it. Create a system where that can work out. So the equipment, I think that's it so far. When I was there were a lot of behavior that I think is typical for competition. Um, Ratcheting up the power levels is obviously there. You know, people are going to start a little tappy, like little whippy strikes, but then as the fight continues, people start going like really, really hard, and then that's part of the game. Um, so the oh yeah, about the jacket, the personalized jackets can now be thinner than the club jackets, simply because it doesn't have to stand up to the same punishment that club jackets have to stand up to. It's just you and the number of fights that you play, right? So it should be great. I think it's good. It'll be good for the sport. It'll be good for the local manufacturers to start producing. Like right now, manufacturers are producing one helmet, two helmets for each club, one jacket, two jackets for each club, or one of those vest protector things, one for each club. They're great, but can you imagine what would happen to the sports equipment industry in the Philippines if every person in FMA bought their own equipment and were equipped with their own personal helmet, personal vest, personal everything? These guys are going to earn more money from it, and we're going to see a lot more innovation and development in that area, right? Yeah, it's arm guards, forearm guards. One of the things, the cool things that you have, if you are talking about personal equipment, is that people will dress for the way they fight, right? So when you go and watch some people, a lot of right-handed players I saw earlier were more heavily armored on their right side than on their left side. That's pretty historical, but also human nature, right? You don't want to be carrying more equipment than you need. So in a fight where you're mostly presenting your right side, it makes sense to armor that up, but you can compromise with your left side a little bit and just work with that. Just have less armor on your left side and work with that. So that's pretty cool. That's a pretty cool thing. Now, another thing is, right now I'm feeling that there is like a real hunger for people to have events like these, where there's a lot of variety in the fighting. There's not just one way the competition is done. There's the single stick which was very, very formalized. Even the movement that you had was limited to some prescribed things, which was interesting. It really totally changed the way you played, changed the way you moved. Um, and then you go to military saber, which was a little bit more free flowing. There's a lot of space. That thing, the sword simulators that they had were very well, not very heavy, but they're not whippy light things, right? So it takes some energy to make it move. It takes a bit of effort to make it move. One or two strikes, you won't feel it, but if you're doing like 100, 120 of strikes, hundreds of strikes, all of it under stress, yeah, that takes a lot out of you after a while. The length of it was interesting too. Um, you know, I'm used to training with a 20-inch, 26-inch stick for my Filipino martial arts. Fighting with a 36-inch one is a bit weird. Like it threw my striking off. Like I was trying to hit the guy's hip, and I hit him in the groin area instead. Like that really threw me off because I've done that strike a million times in Arnis, right? I don't even have to look where I'm striking, and it would hit like the middle of the thigh or the one of the hip, but because of the length of it, I think, and just our distance from each other, I kept hitting the guy in the nuts. So I that's something that I have to adapt to. But the different weapons are there. Now the event I really wanted to join that I missed was the mixed weapons competition where people are going to use like Filipino martial arts stuff and all sorts of fun stuff. Like I saw some guys with padded nunchucks, so that's gonna be fun, right? So sword and shield. Oh man, I really wish I had time and energy to to do that event, right? And it promised to be so much fun. I even saw some guys with sparring spears, which is yay, amazing. I want to see how spear people spear. And again, this is and the thing, and then the overall thing that I would have to say is it's just so much fun. It's just fun. This event that I went to, props to these guys, Sala de Armas. You know, they provided a good venue where people could just have fun, kind of relax. They struck a good balance between taking the game seriously and still keeping it a game, right? I love that. I love that. That's what makes you keep coming back for more, and that's why you like the people around you when you do that. So there we go. I think those are just my hot takes about it. I might think up of something else. Oh yeah, shoes. My shoes suck. But that's my problem because I have big feet. I have size 38 Americans. Yeah, my feet are size 38 American. I think. I could even wear size 42 American depending on the brand. So it's hard for me to find a shoe like that here in the Philippines. If I do find them, um, they would be really pricey, and that's common. Like, double XL clothes are super pricey here in the Philippines and all that. Unless I find them on sale, which is then I'll buy like two or three pairs because it's so hard to find one. So there, I was wearing sucky shoes. I was wearing canvas shoes, and these are actually from Sandugo. So if anybody there knows, Sandugo is like hiking company, not exactly an athletic wear company, but these are like they're day walker things. Like these are canvas shoes for daily wear, barely usable for what we were using it for. I thought it would be enough. Definitely not. I was slipping on the floor, um, making me more tired than I had to be. So yeah, get better shoes. Yeah, all in all, I just need to take this whole thing a little bit more seriously, um, and just really invest in the stuff. Right. So that's it for now, guys. I'll be uploading some of my videos on the act in the act during the actual event. I might need to get. I didn't have videos of my own games, so I'll just have to work that out. All right. Talk to you guys soon.